For the last 15 years, I've been building an apparel and nutritional company from the ground up. But some of the hardest decisions we faced weren't about what to build, they were about what not to make. Imagine you're running a toothpaste company. You start with one product, then 5, then 10, enamel repair, gum health, fresh mint, wintergreen, clinical strength, fluoride, no fluoride, and each one feels necessary. Each one is meant to give customers more freedom to choose what's right for them. And that sounds reasonable. But in reality, more options aren't always a good thing. We live in a time where businesses are told that more offerings, more audiences, and more choices equal more success.
If you want it all, you can get it all.
But in my experience, that's rarely true. Too many choices change human behavior, not just for the customer standing in the aisle, but for the people deciding what even belongs on the shelf. This isn't just a small company problem. One of the biggest companies in the world almost collapsed because of this exact issue. In the late 1990s, Apple Computer looked a lot like this toothpaste aisle. Dozens of products, overlapping names, small differences no one could explain. They were selling printers and scanners and video game consoles, and a confusing number of desktop computers.
Apple has a full line of Performa computers, and to find the one that's right for you, just call this number now.
Employees didn't know how to market them, customers didn't know what to buy. The company was dangerously close to bankruptcy.
I'm looking for an Apple or a Macintosh. Which is it?
Well, Macintosh is a whole series of computers all built by Apple Computer.
Right. So there's a lot of them.
Yes.
Can we take it from the beginning?
So, Apple brought back Steve Jobs.
Steve?
His first move wasn't invention, it was elimination.
When we got to the company a year ago, there were a lot of products. These were the product platforms, 15 product platforms, and a zillion variants of each one. I couldn't even figure this out myself. I said, how are we going to explain this to others when we don't even know which products to recommend to our friends?
He cut roughly 70% of the product line, reduced everything to 4 products.
So we went back to Business School 101 and we said, what do people want? Well, they want 2 kinds of products. They want consumer products and we need pro products. And in each of those 2 categories, we need desktop and portable models.
Anything that didn't fit got cut. Printers were gone, scanners were gone, distractions were gone.
What this told us was, if we had 4 great products, that's all we need. And as a matter of fact, if we only had 4, we could put the A-team on every single one of them.
Within 1 year, Apple stabilized. Within 2 years, it was profitable again. That turnaround didn't happen because Apple gave people more choice. It happened because people finally understood what Apple was. Steve Jobs, he understood something very simple. More choices don't always create more freedom. Sometimes they overwhelm the system. Now, psychologists have a name for this problem. It's called the paradox of choice. You've probably heard the classic jam study. One day, shoppers saw 6 flavors of jam, and then the next day they saw 24 flavors. More people stopped at the table with 24 flavors, but fewer of those people bought anything. Too many options overwhelmed the brain. Now, when the choice was smaller, people felt confident enough to decide.
So everywhere we look, life is a matter of choice. I'll give you some examples. You're supposed to read this cartoon and being a sophisticated person say, what does this fish know? You know, nothing is possible in this fishbowl. Impoverished imagination, a myopic view of the world, and that's the way I read it at first. The more I thought about it, however, the more I came to the view that this fish knows something.
That teaches us that more options didn't create freedom. They created friction.
Because the truth of the matter is that if you shatter the fishbowl so that everything is possible, you don't have freedom, you have paralysis. Everybody needs a fishbowl.
We ran into the same problem at my company on a much smaller scale. When you're building a company, especially in tech or apparel, it's easy to want to make something for everyone. Yeah, I know the feeling. I want to make everything. Ideas come fast, new products, new categories, and if I'm not careful, that instinct creates confusion inside the company and outside of it. So we slowed down. We surveyed over 5,000 customers. We were looking for patterns. 4 clear groups kept showing up. Different jobs, different incomes, and different lives.
So for Origin, right, we have our 4 customer personas. The quiet professional, which is kind of our everyday dad, right? We have our legacy leader, which is more of our older Jack, more kind of set in his ways. Then we have the performance generalist. That's our new and upcoming.
Like he wants to look good, feel good.
And perform.
Yeah, and perform.
And then you have the elevated explorer. So, you have your guys who roll their jeans. Takes time to think about what he's wearing, how he's merchandising his outfit, all that kind of stuff. We consider those guys the 4 personas.
And that became our filter. Designers now knew who they were designing for. Marketing now knew how to communicate. And the product roadmap became cleaner and clearer, and it protected the brand. Ideas without guardrails are very dangerous, and that's how companies lose their way. But there is another side to this. Too little choices can be dangerous too. Let's go back to 1908 when Henry Ford introduced the Model T.
The Model T was more than a motor car. It was the symbol of an industrial revolution.
Simple, durable, affordable. It changed transportation forever.
Now everybody could have one.
Ford famously said customers could have whatever color they wanted, as long as it was black. And at that time, that worked.
In May 1927, the 15 millionth Model T came out of the plant.
The market wanted innovation before customization, but markets change. Competitors then introduced colors, options, and features Ford didn't offer. And customization became the advantage.
The copy begins by saying that America has awarded Chevrolet first place in sales during 4 out of the past 6 years.
Ford resisted too long, but eventually the market forced him to adapt. His singleness of purpose wasn't wrong. Refusing to evolve was. Origin. We learned this lesson firsthand. We didn't start in apparel, we started in jiu-jitsu, making gis in a Maine-based timber frame factory for a small, passionate community. It was a niche market. No matter how good the product was, the market size capped our growth.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, looking good, right?
But our jiu-jitsu pants were designed like jeans. We had machines, we had resourceful people, and so denim became the next step. We had just enough infrastructure to take a real swing.
That's the brass button, made in America.
That was enough to begin.
Those look so good.
Yeah, they do. They look so good.
They really do. Like, oh, bam, we just made a pair of jeans.
Just did it.
Now, the goal was never to make everything for everyone. Over 15 years, we expanded deliberately. From jiu-jitsu, then to denim, then nutrition, and to boots, and to menswear this year.
Travis, I really like all the new colors in Moab. Like, it's something I like and I wear. I wonder, from your guys' perspective, are we worried about getting to a point where there's like too many options? Are we gonna start drop some? Because this is what, 9? That's a lot of options when you go to buy a pair of pants, potentially.
So here's the rule we live by. Not infinite choice, not rigid simplicity, just enough. That's how we're building our men's care line. 5 products, not 3, not 7, only what you need in 5 products. That's also how we'll launch sneakers this spring. Here's kind of what we're working through right here. Today we're gonna do 3 styles. Your kind of American heritage here, canvas and leather. Then you have this casual, so your synthetic and leather. And then you have your smart casual or business casual, which is full leather. I'm really concerned about the paradox of choice with this sneaker offering, making sure we don't get over our skis, trying to do too much, be all things to all people. So in this instance, got to go back to the brand. This isn't a theory, it's how we operate, learning from folks like Ford and Jobs. At Origin, we live what we make and we build what we believe in. And we're just getting started.